All right, what's up, my friends? Welcome. Midnight Hunt Innistrad set review. Every single card constructed, limited. We did white, blue, black, and red. Now it's time for green. Anything you missed on YouTube, go check it out. Watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. Hi, my name is Jim. Welcome. And I got green cards to do. Green is next, and let's get rocking and rolling. We get some get some wolves here. Not yet. Our first card is Auger of Autumn, and what? Already? Really? Nope. This card, I think, is closer to a trap than a best in show. I think this card's pretty overrated. Green 1 for a 2/3. Logo top card of your library, play lands top of your library, and then Coven. As long as you have the Coven ability, you can cast creature spells from the top of your library, which is very, very good. The big things here are the immediate comparison is to Courser of Kruphix, which was a standard staple when it was legal, dominant card in standard. This thing is not Courser of Kruphix. That third toughness is a major downside. Dies, it's going to die to a lot more stuff, doesn't block very well. And then not gaining life off your lands is also really big, because Courser was so good at gumming the game up, because Augur is the kind of card that wants to be in play for a really long time. The longer it's in play, the more lands you find on top, the more advantage you get, the more spells you draw. So this is a card that wants to be in play for a long time, but doesn't really work towards that goal because it's just like a small, crappy 2/3 that doesn't really block very well and dies to everything. Courser was a 2/4. It blocked a lot better. It gained life to buy time. So not a very good Courser of Kruphix card. So what does it do beyond Courser? Well, you can Coven and cast creatures from the top of your deck. Obviously a powerful mechanic. We've seen this before in Vivian. It's powerful, but you have to have Coven to have it. And Coven is going to be pretty damn difficult to do in Constructed. So what deck wants this card? I don't even know, honestly. Like, not beatdown decks. I don't think it's great mid-range decks. I don't think this card's very good, honestly. I don't think it's very good. I kind of wanted to give it the It's Trap award, but I kind of wussed out on it because I'm afraid to be wrong. But very unimpressive, this card. It's fine, it's passable, it's reasonable, but overall I'm just not super excited about it, honestly. Not super excited about it. And limited is great. Obviously limited, the card's phenomenal. It's 2/3, helps you not flood. Getting Covenant limited is certainly reasonable, and that's very, very good. So great limited card for sure. Great limited card. But overall, I'm not really feeling it constructed. I'm not really feeling it. That's what I got for you. Bird Admirer is next. 3 mana for a 1/4 reach. It's fine. You flip it, you get a 3/5 reach, and you get to eat the birds, which is pretty freaking rude. Pretty freaking rude. There's an okay common. Nothing really great here. Probably more of a sideboard card, you know, against flyers and stuff. Just okay. It's not really great. It's just filler. Bounding Wolf is next, and this card might look bad at first glance, right? So we have a 3/2 flash reach for 3. So not super exciting. However, this card is going to be quite good, because if you're playing a werewolf deck, you really want day to turn to night. Okay? That's a very important factor. And by doing that, you often risk not advancing your board or not doing things, basically. So you have this tough choice of, do I play a spell or do I just wait and not play a spell, turn day to night, but now I'm sort of like behind. So any flash spell that allows you to flip your werewolves and also play spells in their turn is going to be huge. So that's step number 1. And it also has Secret Sneaky Reach. What? Sneaky Reach? What? Where? So this thing can block a lot of flyers and trade, which is great. So it's kind of like a green kill spell. Kind of like, 3 mana, deal 3 mana to a flyer, which is cool. It's also a threat. It's a wolf. You can flip your things. This card is sneakily good and limited. Sneakily good and limited. A lot better than it looks. A lot better than it looks. All right? That wolf can jump, yeah. It's a dragon flying in the air. This wolf has got ups, all right? You can go touch the dragon. I'm going to touch the sky. Up next is Bramble Armor. 2 mana for an equipment. Comes into play. Put it on the creature you control. +2/+1. Equip for 4. I mean, it's obviously okay. The fact that it equips immediately is fine. And then, like, it's a mana sink later, which is kind of okay also. Basically, kind of a sealed card. It's very slow. If your deck is dying to have a mana sink or someone to like kind of get ahead later in the game, sure. I don't think this format will need cards like that very often, honestly. So probably just not a very good card. You know, more of like a sealed card if your deck's slow and the format's slow. Up next is Briar Bridge Tracker. This one's good. This one's really, really good. We have a 4/3 Vigilance if you have a token in play. Comes into play, Investigate. This is like the super Throbbing Inspector. All right. Comes into play, makes token, which is great. And then you just leave a token there. You have a 4/3 Vigilance for 3, which is very, very passable. And then if it dies, you just draw a card later, which is phenomenal. Obviously, again, Inspector is the kind of card where you look at it and you're like, okay, this is the exact same thing. Because this card is very, very, very solid. It attacks for 4, which is nice. It blocks really well. And I guess against those control decks, you play it, they gotta Doomblade it, and you just draw a card off the clue, which is great. So, rock solid card. This is the 3-drop you want to play in your mid-range decks and your control decks, alright? Forget Auger of Autumn. That card sucks. This card is super solid. Just rock solid card. Just like on rate, great card. Like it a lot. Probably want to play some other token cards too, but Ranger class is there. There are Wolf Makers, Planeswalkers. Just a very, very good mid-range card. Like it a lot. Super, super solid. Busted and limited, obviously, just a great, great card. But do not underestimate clues. Clues are really, really good. Cruise Chariot, that's dope. Cruise Chariot, and then Chariot can copy the clues. Love it. Love it. All day, every day.
Bingo.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Card's great. Card's great. Brood Weaver. 4 mana for a 2/4 reach. When it dies, make it 1/2. Man, where's Penumbra Spider when you need him, huh? It's obviously fine, but the 1/2 is not nearly as good as a 2/4 would be, so passable, limited card. Maybe more of a board card, honestly. Not very exciting. Not very exciting. Burly Breaker. 5 mana for a 6/5, which is freaking huge. What a honkin' chonker.
Oh my god, Becky.
Woo! That's a big one. 6/5 Ward 1 is already awesome. That's a great limited uncommon. Flip it over, what do you get? You get an 8/7 Ward 3. This is a top tier limited common. Top tier limited common. Absolutely monstrous. Yeah, all the uncommon werewolves seem really, really, really good. How's a human a 6/5? That's fair. That's fair, honestly. That's fair. So yeah, super, super awesome card. Great, great draft common. Easy first pick. Super, super, super card. Up next is Candlelit Cavalry. 5 mana for a 5/5, which is already totally fine and limited. Very reasonable 5-drop. And if you Coven, it gets Trample. Super solid card. Solid card. Not a card you'll play every time, because obviously if you have 2 of these, you're going to play this card instead. But if your deck needs a 5-drop, this card does that pretty well. Just rock solid. Just rock solid. Clear Shot. 3 mana for an instant. Gets a counter and damage with its power to target you don't control. This card's awesome. Usually this effect costs 4. It's a sorcery and it's a fight. So this is an instant. It costs 3, and it also gives a counter, and it's not a fight. Top tier removal spell. Phenomenal card. Not a counter? I'm sorry, I can't read. Okay, it's not a counter. Sorry. I'm wrong sometimes. My bad. My bad. All right, so no counter. It's still insanely good, though. It's still insanely good. So, just basically a green Doomblade. So, very, very good. Very, very good. Next, Consuming Blob. Green 3 for a ooze. Power equal to the number of card types among a graveyard. So, it's Tarmogoyf. All right, so Tarmogoyf stats. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze creature token with Tarmogoyf stats. Ooh. Ooh, this is kind of a card, honestly. So, one more time. It's a 5 mana Tarmogoyf. Beginning of your end step, it creates a token that's also a Tarmogoyf. Doesn't have the ability to keep making, so it's not exponential, but oh, it's only your graveyard. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. It's like 9 lines on this card. So yeah, it's only your graveyard. Very, very fair. Very, very fair. But Card's still good. Card's still pretty good. It's sort of like got that Broodmate Dragon effect where you can just play it, get a token immediately. If it was on your upkeep, it would suck. But say you have 4 different types in your graveyard, you get a 4/5 and a 4/5, and they have to kill the blob or you get more 4/5s. Card's pretty cool. I think this card requires some work. You can't just play it like Tarmogoyf. But I kind of like this card, honestly. Not amazing, not anything crazy, but in like a mid-range deck playing Planeswalkers and Binding of the Old Gods and, God knows what else. Reasonable card. Reasonable card for sure. And if your opponent's not playing like white or black and it's like 5 toughness, kind of hard to kill. So yeah, absolute bomb and mythic, obviously. But, and bomb and limited, obviously. But, the card's cool. I like it. Nothing crazy. Just a cool card. Definitely a possible curve topper in constructed for sure. I like it. Up next is Contortionist Troop. Green and X for an XX with counters, obviously. And then you can Coven to put a counter on a creature you control. So obviously this card's cool because you can scale it to whatever size you need. So it's a pretty cool Coven payoff card. And I'd imagine when you play this card, you're going to have Coven and Limited a lot of the time. Because you're just going to fill whatever hole you need to fill, and then you end step put a counter, and then you're just kind of going off and doing the thing. So, feels like a very good limited card. It's essentially power for mana, because even though it's only a 3/3 for 4, that first counter goes on there and makes it a 4/4 anyway. So, yeah, it's not quite Limit Arc Aspirant, but it is certainly a solid limited card for sure, if you're the Coven deck, and if you want to trigger this. Reasonable card. Reasonable draft card for sure. Up next is Dawn Hart Mentor. 3 mana for an 0/4. When it comes into play, make a 1/1 token. And then Coven, 6 mana, creature you control, gets +2/+2 against Trample end of turn. This card's good. If you're the Coven deck, this card's very, very good. Once again, as we said in white, a creature with 0 power is a lot better in this format than most formats because it's huge for Coven. You will almost never have a 0 power creature, so it's already 1 for Coven immediately. And then I would say that 1 power is also a pretty uncommon power to have because you don't usually play most 1/1s. So this is a 0 and a 1. If you have basically any other creature in play, it's Coven. And then it's decent blocker and a great late game mana sink. This is a very solid card for your Coven deck. It also turns out all your other Coven cards too. I like this card a lot. Again, kind of an archetype card in limited. Not the kind of card you're going to want like in every deck. But if you're playing a Coven deck, this card seems like a phenomenal enabler. And a good payoff too. Which is the best kind of card. It's an enabler and a payoff. Dawn Hart Rejuvenator. This is the kind of card that spawns an archetype. 4 mana for a 2/4. Comes into play game 3. Adds a mana of any color. There's going to be like a 4 or 5 color, green deck in this format based on this card. Most decks won't want this card. Most decks won't want this card because if you're only playing 2 colors, it's only okay. It's just fine. But because people don't want that much, you can get 2 or 3 of them. And then you get, War of a Spark had a card like this for sure. Same idea, where you just like have this mana fixer, you gain some life, it blocks, it buys time, it's a great common. If this card was an uncommon, it wouldn't really be a thing, because it'd be hard to get more than one of them. But given that people won't want this card that much, you probably get 2 or 3. Draft the archetype. Super cool card. Definitely the kind of card you'd have a plan for, but that plan could end up being really, really good. So, cool card for sure. Life gain doesn't feel very relevant aside from just staying alive, but staying alive is great. Card seems great. Death Bonnets Sprout. This is a cool one. 1 green for a 1/1 fungus. Beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. Then, if there are 3 more creature cards in your graveyard, transform it. So, cool. That's pretty solid. It's a enabler for your graveyard. Mill some creatures. Do the thing. It's a fungus among us. Flip it over into Death Bonnet Hulk. Now it's a 3/3. Beginning of your upkeep, may exile a card from a graveyard. If you exile a creature card, put a counter on it. So now you have a graveyard-hating 4/4, which is pretty awesome, honestly. So for 1 mana, you're getting paid off pretty good here. Kind of weird because you need to have a deck that wants to put cards in the graveyard, that's playing a lot of creatures, and then wants to have this sort of like mid-sized beater. I do agree in older formats this card gets better because it's so cheap and pretty easy to flip. If you're in older formats, you can like play lootings or whatever and really, really get really get things going for sure. But again, it has to be 3 creatures in the graveyard, which is not easy to do. So it's not super easy to flip, but it is a really cool card. It attacks pretty well. It's graveyard hate for a very low opportunity cost, and it's also it's like a self-enabling card, which is sweet too. So it's cool. I like it. Cool card. Cool card. Defend the Celestius. I don't know. Whatever. Green 2 instant. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 creatures you control. This card's unreal. Like, I don't know how you ever play around this card limited. Like, ever. Like, your opponent attacks you, and if they have this card, you're just not winning the combat in a million years ever. Card's just super awesome. If you're aggressive, your defensive, it's not as good. Also, a Ray Coven enabler, because you can just like put the things wherever you want to put them. Yeah, as a sorcery, this card's like not very exciting. As an instant, this card's just like whoa. So yeah, really good card, really good limited card. Prepare to get blown out by this card a lot. You're gonna hate this card by week 3. You're gonna absolutely hate this card. So real good. Dryad Survival. They're meant for a regrowth that flashes back. This is a combo only card. If you're playing some weird combo deck and you need to like recur cards, but this card's way too expensive. Regrowth is terrible. It's just not a good card. So moving on. Duel for Dominance. 2 mana for an instant. Coven. Choose a creature you control and you don't control. If you have Coven, you put a counter on the creature. If not, you don't, and they fight. So this is 2 mana for an instant speed fight, which is fine. And if you have Coven, obviously, get the counter. If you get the counter, we're way above rate here. Usually this card costs 4. But even without Coven, this card is still reasonable. There are a pretty large amount of large creatures in this format, so it shouldn't be too hard to win a fight. Card's very good. Card's very good for sure. That's cool. Yeah. Eccentric Farmer. They're meant for a 2/3. Comes into play in mill 3. You may return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. This card's solid. If you're doing graveyard stuff, it feels like a lot of the graveyard stuff is more like white, blue, and black for all of the other stuff. But if this card draws a land, you're very happy. A 2/3 draws a land's awesome. I'd want to have some graveyard stuff. We haven't seen much graveyard stuff yet, but if there is graveyard stuff in your deck in your draft deck, this card's very good. Again, more of an archetype kind of card in your draft deck for sure. Harvesttide Sentry, 2 mana for a 3/1. It's pretty good. And then Coven. It can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. That's a pretty good Coven effect, because the downside to your 3/1 for 2 obviously is it gets blocked by a 1/1, and this can't do that. So solid aggro card for your Coven deck, just a reasonable card. It's also 3 power, which is fine. So just a solid 2-drop. Hound Tamer, 2 mana for a 3/3, which is already quite good. Has trample and puts counters on things. Wow. This card's already good, even without the flips. What's the backside do? Untamed Pup. 4/4 trample. Wolves and werewolves have trample and put a counter on things. This card's great. Just really good. It's a really solid limited card. Good rate. Scale's great. Just really good limited card. Not much to say about it. It just checks all the boxes off. Great draft card. Howl the Hunt. They mana for a flash enchant creature. If it enters the battlefield, if the enchanted creature is a wolf or werewolf, untap that creature. +2/+2 and vigilance. I mean, it's a little clunky, but it's reasonable. You know, the fact that it's a pump spell, it sticks around is pretty awesome. Untapping creatures, again, you don't really want to cast spells like this on defense usually, as you risk getting blown out. But if you just have a 2/2 on turn 3, you attack and they block, and you play this, now you have a 4/4. That's a pretty good effect, honestly. It also gets vigilance too, which is kind of cool. So, solid card. Better for aggressive decks. Try not to use this card defensively. But if you're offensively using this card, you have a lot of 2-drops in your deck. This card seems pretty solid. Might of the Old Ways. This card, I freaking love this card. I love the design. Nope. You didn't see that. There's no man behind the curtain. No, not a one. It's just me. But yeah, I love this card. 2 mana instant, +2/+2. Sure, that's like your base level, mediocre trick. However, Coven, draw a card. That's incredible. So, 2 mana trick, draw a card, amazing. Then you have the interesting factor of the pump can give you Coven. So if I have bear, 3-drop, I target the bear, now I have Coven. So not only is that just a cool thing as well, but your opponent has to play on this as well. So do they block your 2/2 and risk you getting Coven, or do they block differently? Just a super cool card. I imagine this card is going to play awesome on both sides of the ball. Going to be a really fun card to play around, to play against. Just a great trick in limited, and top tier card if you're a Coven deck. A cantrip pump spell is freaking awesome. So love this card, love the design. Play patterns seem awesome. I'm all about this card in limited. Super, super cool card. I'm all about it. Up next is Outland Liberator. 2 mana for a 2/2, which is obviously great. Sacrifice it to disenchant. That's just really good. There's already a card like this in white. It's a common, but this also flips. Backside says a 3/3 does the same thing, but whenever you attack, it also shatters. This card's good. This card's like older format level good. Qasali Primate sees play in various formats, and this is very, very close to that for only one color with a lot of upside. Because if this flips and you're just killing an enchantment every turn, that's awesome. Super cool card. Super cool card. Probably won't be as important in standard because artifacts and enchantments aren't as important. But in older formats, this card's nice. This card does slap. This card's nice. I like this card a lot. Very, very good. Very, very good. Constructed and then limited. It's obviously just amazing and limited. So, moving on to Path of the Festival. The mana for a sorcery, search a basic land card, put it into play tapped, and then shuffle. 3 or more basic land types, scry 1. This is your usual kind of like crappy ramp spell. You can flash it back. These cards are often just too slow. If you're going turn 3, ramp, no affect the board, turn 4, ramp, no affect the board, you're just dead. I'm sorry, you're just dead. So, probably too slow. Again, this could be your other enabler card for your 4 or 5 color deck in limited. So look for it in like that deck in particular. But yeah, doesn't seem particularly great, honestly. Yeah, no more Ugin in the format for sure. So, yeah. Moving on. Pestilent Wolf, 2-drop, Death Touch. Just a very solid 2-drop. There's just so many good 2-drops these days. Just a really, really solid one. Scales well as the game goes on. It's a good card. Good draft common. Plummet, sideboard card. Kills flyers in every set. Primal Adversary. 3 mana for a 4/3 trample, which is fine. And then Multi-Kicker 2, basically, comes into play. Plus a counter for each kicker. You also get to make a land into a 3/3 with haste. Which is obviously weird because if you pay it for 5, you have a 3/3 you can't attack with haste, which is kind of weird. Like all of the adversaries, it just feels like this isn't good enough on any point of the curve. It's fine. It's a 4/3 for 3, which is fine. You play it as a 5 mana 5/4 trample that turns a land into a 3/3. That's fine. But like at no point is this card like really, really exciting. Maybe on 6 mana, so you can like attack with the 3/3. But it just doesn't like just do enough for me. Again, Bonkers Unlimited scales really well. But again, the problem is that it just all the adversary cards just don't feel good at any point on the curve, and the flexibility just isn't worth it. Like it's not that flexible. So yeah, super great limited card for sure, obviously. But in constructed, I was not feeling it, not really feeling it. So it's limited is bonkers, obviously. But moving on to Return to Nature, another cards in every set. It's a sideboard disenchant. Rise of the Ants, 6 mana for a sorcery. Make 2 3/3s and gain 2 life. Flashback for 8. Very good limited card if your deck is looking for a way to win the game. If you're like, got some good ramp, I got some good removal spells, don't like win condition, well, this is it. I love that this gains life also, so it buffers a bit too. Good draft card contextually if you need it hard to win. I do feel like all these werewolves are a lot of really big creatures, so like this effect won't be needed as much, but it's still a powerful effect. Solid draft card. Yeah, kind of Honey Mammoth esque for sure. Where like the decks that want Honey Mammoth also want this card. Kind of like slow, grindy, rule spells, looking for a win condition, want to gain some life and stabilize. Does it pretty well. Up next is Surth, the Viper's Fang. 4 mana for a 3/4 legend. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. Pay 1, untap a creature or land you control. It's Run the Power. Coalesce. Get your own. Promo code GM10, 10% off your order. I guess I obviously you can like untap your creature to give it hexproof and stuff, but I don't know what this card is supposed to be doing. That's not in like a commander deck or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. Good limited card, obviously. It's actually a great limited card, but yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Just moving on. Shadow Beast Sighting. Perhaps your best green common. Maybe. We'll see. 4 mana for a 4/4 token. Flashes back for 7. Love the art. Obviously, the art's super cool. Just a really, really solid card advantage card. Same idea, where like this is just a really good grindy card. Just make it 4/4, trade it off, make it 4/4 later, never flood. Just super, super solid card. Kind of similar to like Seraph's Packmate kind of thing, you know, where it's like this card that's like reasonably cheap and efficient, but just does so much more as the game goes on that you don't really realize. Card's really good. Yeah, and then there is kind of like a bit of a Spell Matters theme too. So like I feel like this card and then the Ant card could go with the good red Spell Matter cards for sure. Absolutely. I like it a lot. I feel like a lot of grindy stuff in this set for sure. So cool card. Starling Wolf, Omega Wolf, pumps. Just an okay card. Nothing really great here. It feels like there's a lot to do with your mana in this set. So like I'm not thrilled about this card. It is kind of cool because you can pump it and not play a spell and flip your werewolves and stuff, but like I don't think this card's very good. Basking Root Walla, this ain't. Up next is Storm the Festival.
It's a trap.
There was some hype around this card, and this card looks kind of cool, right? It's a 6 mana company for permanence. So 6 mana, sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put 2 permanent cards, up to 2, with mana value 5 or less among them on the battlefield. Rest go on the bottom in a random order. Slowco. Exactly. This card is a major trap. The appeal is there, right? I cast this, and I put in a 5 mana planeswalker and a 4 mana creature, and oh boy, that's awesome, right? The problem is, Collected Company has a pretty strict restriction, right? You got to play enough creatures, and they got to be impactful enough that it's worth casting Company. I don't want a Company into Llanowar Elves and Heritage Druid. I want a Company into Reflector Mage and Mantis Rider, or whatever, you know? So, Company decks play a lot of 3s. As it stands, this card, you're going to want to play a lot of 5s. You can't draw too many 5s or you just die. So this deck sort of tells you to build this card tells you to build your deck badly. Company tells you to build your deck a little less efficient than you would like. Probably a little more 3-drop heavy than you would like, but it's worth it. Right? So this card tells you to build your deck horribly. And then it's only 5 cards, it's not 6. So you are seeing less cards. This is just going to whiff a lot. Like, unless your deck is built like badly, basically, it's going to whiff a lot. And that's a problem. Flashback costs 10. That's not happening either. This is like a casual card through and through. This card's not seeing play in basically anything, honestly. In Limited, it's probably fine. Because if you just hit a 5-drop and like a 2-drop, you're ahead on rate, which is fine. But Constructed, this card is just a super, super trap. Yes, you can get lands off of it. You spend 6 mana to get 2 lands, you concede the game. You know, like, it's just not good. It's just not good. So the floor is super low. The ceiling is high, but the floor is way too low for it. It's hard to cast. I'm not about this card at all. Super Trap. Super Trap. This card will see very little, if any, play at all constructed. And then in limited, I guess it's fine. Again, in limited, it's fine. But moving on. Tapping at the window. Speaking of missing, 2 mana for a sorcery. Look at the top 3. Put a creature in your hand and bin the rest. This one's tough because this card's going to whiff a lot. It's only 3 cards. And you have to hit a creature or all you're doing is milling 3. So I think if this was 4 cards, we'd be talking. We'd be talking big time. But at 3 cards, if your deck is 1/3 creatures, you're still going to miss like a decent amount of a time, you know? And you're already playing these sorceries, possibly other graveyard cards as well. So card is... I like cards like this typically, but it's just not great. And then green doesn't even have that much graveyard stuff anyway, so not really about this card, honestly. And then the flashback is really, really cool. If this is top 4, this card's great. Like, great, I think. Because you're going to miss a lot less, and the flashback is great. But, yeah. Yeah, I think at 1 mana, this card's, like, really good. But, yeah, no grab from the past here. So, kind of a dud. Not really about it. Constructed, it's possible. You know, but I think if it was creature or land, same thing, it'd be really, really good. But, yeah, kind of a bust. Kind of a bust, unfortunately. Timberland Guide, reprint. We see this card in every draft set. It's fine. Will help with Coven, which is nice. But Tyro's Hauler. 5 mana for a 4/5 Vigilance, which is fine, obviously. Flips into a 6/6 Vigilance. Again, I don't think that that sizing is going to be a problem in this format. There's a lot of really big creatures. So, you know, the things get big pretty quick. So, just a solid common. Get a 5-drop, it's fine. Don't first pick it. You know, just get it 11th pick. Maybe you play it, maybe you don't. Kind of card in limited. Tollivar's Huntmaster. Now, this card was initially spoiled. It had the Grave Titan. It had the Grave Titan effect. Okay. On attacks and enter, it makes 2 tokens. Not what it does. All right. So this is a 6/6 for 6. Comes into play and makes 2 wolves. That is good. That is Grave Titan level of power. It's also in green where it ramps better. This card is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. This card is definitely pretty solid. But you gotta flip it to the attack trigger. You flip it, so now it's 7/7. Now if it attacks, it makes 2/2s. Now it is Grave Titan on the backside if you're already at nighttime, because it'll come in as this. Pay for a wolf or a werewolf you control fights a creature you don't control, but not this. It's gotta be something else, so not as good. But definitely a very good ramp threat for sure. But you know, I'm not sure what deck exactly wants this. It's not quite, you know, Ugin or Koma or some like real game-ending monstrosity. It's just pretty good. It's just pretty good. Definitely wants to be nighttime when you cast it. It is very good then. But it's cool. It's a cool card. It'll see play for sure. I don't love it, but I like it. It's a good card. It's a good card. Yeah, it's a total blowout limited. Like, oh my god. Have fun trying to beat this card limited, for sure. So, yeah, it's not legendary either, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, it feels similar to Grave Titan in Constructed, you know. LCC some play, it's fine. Turn the Earth. Oh man, instant. Choose 3 cards in graveyards, shuffle those in, gain 2 life, flashback. Just a sideboard graveyard hate card. Reasonable card for Constructed, just a sideboard card. It's not collecting dust. It doesn't draw a card, so it's much worse than that. This is much more targeted. This is, I have to remove a card from the graveyard or I can't win, so I board this card in. Up next, Unnatural Growth. Green, 1. Damage combat, double power, double separate creatures. Kind of like a win more or whatever card. Obviously great and limited, very hard to cast. But yeah, if you're winning, now you're really winning. Go get him, Tiger. Willowgeist, 1 green for a creature with trample. It's a 1/1. Whenever one of our cards leave your graveyard, put a counter on it. And then when it dies, you can let it lose power. This card's kind of cool, but like, it's not particularly easy to make cards leave your graveyard. And it will not trigger more than once. So if I delve out a Gurmag Angler, this will get 1 counter, not 6. Which is important to note. As it stands, it's kind of cool. You know, I mean, like, it's kind of cool, like, flashback or bloodghast or whatever, but it's not enough of a payoff to, like, want to do all that stuff, I don't think. So it kind of ends up just being this, like, kind of cute, kind of cool card. It's fun. It's cute. Maybe if, like, you know, enough cards are printed to make it work could be a thing, but that is true. Escape would give 2 triggers, but those cards rotate, so yeah, it's a 1-drop. It's kind of cool. It's a cool card. I like the idea of it, but I don't think it does enough. And then limited, I mean, you got to roll a lot of cards to make this card good. So Ren and 7. This card just seems really, really good to me. 5 mana Planeswalker. 5 loyalty. A lot of words here. Let's get our reading glasses out. A lot of words here. All right. +1. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all lands in hand. Everything else into your graveyard. So that's pretty good. You know, that's kind of just like fill the graveyard, draw a couple lands. Cool. Goes to 6 also, which is pretty good. 0. Put a number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. All right. A little, yeah, you know, it's not like the best. -3, make a tree folk with reach, and this creature's power and toughness equal number of lands you control. A variable power and toughness for sure. That's the big one. That's the big one. Effectively, what you get for 5 mana is a 2 loyalty planeswalker and a 5/5 with reach. Very important. 5/5 for reach. 5/5 reach blocks Goldspan Dragon. Very, very important. Like, extremely important, right? Now, if they kill the walker, I have a 5/5 still. They kill the 5/5, I still have a walker. And then as the game goes on, it just kind of keeps rolling along. You know, it just keeps doing the things, which is great. Drawing lands, putting cards in the graveyard. Also important to note that Zendikar Rising is still in standard. So landfall stuff is still here. You know, there's Lotus Cobra, there's Valakut Awakening. Valakut Expedition, maybe a Valak Expedition. There's the red-green legendary something or other. So landfall is still here. Scoot Swarm is still here, sure. So there's things to do with lands, you know. And then Snowlands, sure, kind of cool. And the floor here of just a 5/5 reach and a planeswalker is very good also. All your MDFCs are lands and spells. So you can put more lands in, try and draw more cards. The card just seems very powerful. I don't know what deck wants it exactly, but the card seems really, really good. It just seems like a really, really powerful card. Feldar Retreat, absolutely. It's insanely good Feldar Retreat for sure. So, I think this card's really, really powerful. Probably one of the best walkers in the format, if not the best walker. Easy to defend, high loyalty, card's great. Ultimate is return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand and no max hand size. Yeah, whatever, it's not as good. So, token is reach, yes. Sneaky reach. Sneaky reach. But before we go to our next card, I got a joke for you. All right, I have a joke for you. It's my favorite joke. I made it myself. Why was 7 afraid of 8? Because 8, 9, 10. That's it for green. I'll see y'all later. All right. YouTube folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your best in show is. All right.